Hello again. So in this section, we will work on different enemy types and managing how the enemies are being spawned. So we will do this by one of my favorite features of Godot, which are resources. So let's start by creating a resource script that will define our resources. So let's create new script. Each should inherit from a resource. So let's make sure to choose that. And when it comes to name, I will call this a tank type. And let's save this into scripts. So create and save. Perfect. And we will have a class name for this of tank type. And we'll export some basic properties for our tank here. So export enum, because the types of our tanks are just limited set. Basic, fast, power, and armor. Tank name is of course a string and will start as a basic. Then let's define a few properties here. Float is a speed, health. Most of the tanks in the game have 1 health, but there's one type that is armored and has like 4 health. Int equal to 1. We'll export the minimal shoot interval, and let's set this to 4, and then max shoot interval float and set it to 8. Export bullet speed, which is a float, and will be 200. And how much points is given tank worth? So 100. And with that, we can create our resources. So looking at our folder structure, we need new, which is going to be resources. And we can just create new resource. Let's call this one basic tank. And we will attach a script here. So this is a tank type script, and let's duplicate this 4 times. So we need fast tank, we need power tank, and we need armored tank. And I'm just duplicating files by pressing Ctrl D, if you wonder how I did it so fast. So let's set the properties that we need for our tank. The speed is going to be 25, health is 1, bullet speed is going to be 75, and the points is going to be 100. And then going to the fast tank, what we need to change is the type to be fast. The speed is going to be 50, shooting interval 3.5 and 7.5, bullet speed 125, and points, let's do, I don't know, also 125. Then we go to power tank. So let's change this to power. The speed is 45, health is 1, 3 seconds and 6 seconds. Bullet speed, let's do 110, and let's do, I don't know, 150. Okay, and then there's armor tank. Or most likely armor, because that should be the name. Okay, the type is armor. The speed should be lower, I believe, so let's set this to 30. Health is for 2.5 and 5.5. Bullet speed is 100, and the points is going to be like 150. And of course, adjust those as you see fit and needed. So now we have to get all of this and integrate with our spawning system. Okay, so going to main and enemy spawner, we need to do some adjustments here. First thing we are going to define is we are going to define the tank types dictionary. So already tank types, and we'll have a dictionary that's gonna associate the tank names with the resources. So I will say basic, and this is going to preload basic tank like configuration. Fast, which is going to preload the fast tank configuration. Then we have power, which is going to preload power tank, and we have armor, which will preload armor. Okay. Now with all of that, what we can do is for each level define enemy array. So in this array, we need 20 entries defining the types that we should spawn by a type name. So we will do fast, power, basic, and basic. Then we do basic, and you can adjust this, of course, as needed. So we know for each index, right? For each index, which enemy to spawn. Then we'll do basic, 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 and fast, basic, basic, fast, and power. And then we do fast, power, power, armor. And this is just example, like the more armor tank and the more power tanks you will spawn in given level, the higher the difficulty supposed to be, of course. So let's see how we need to adjust that. Let's see, what we need is to get the enemy type. So tank type is tank types at enemy array at enemy spawn index. And this allows us to just say enemy tank type, oops, tank type is a tank type. Of course, passing this property means nothing right now, as we need to actually use it. So going to our enemy, we need to define the tank type. So let's do, we can export it just for fun. Tank type is of tank type. And then we need to use it to instantiate everything that we need. So given that the properties are also connected to the shooting and the bullet, we need a reference to our shooting system. And with that, we can just say speed is actually equal to tank type speed. The health, which we should define, health is tank type health. The points are equal to tank type points. Do we have a points? No, we do not. So let's also add that. And then the properties for the shooting system. The bullet speed and the shooting. Perfect. There's one thing though that I believe is missing right now, and it is to add the animations that should be playing whenever whenever we are spawning given type of tank. So let's go here and let's adjust this. So I'll create few new animations. This is going to be basic. Let's see. Armor, fast, and power. And we need to create all of these. So let's go here. This is Battle City 5. Remember that this is 16 by 16. Let's see. This is basic tank. Then the next one is fast tank. Then we have power tank. And the last one is armor. Perfect. So we have that. So we need to actually use these, right? So if we're spawning here, we're not playing the default, but rather we're playing tank type, tank name animation. And I believe this to be all that we need to spawn different types of tanks. Let's see. Yeah, as you can see, we're spawning different types of tank now, which is great. The next thing is to actually take into account the fact that not all tanks have 1 health, because there's an armor tank type which has 4 health. So instead of using explode directly, we need to create hit function and say health. It should be health. Let's see, health H. Health minus equals 1. If health is equal to 0, we explode then. And we need to adjust this in our bullet scene to whenever we hit the enemy, we call hit instead of explode. And let's see, is there any other problem? I don't think so. And this should allow us to have different types of tanks. There's still, oops. Oh, I believe there's also one other thing. In enemy, whenever we call explode, we need to disable the enemy shooting system, right? So enemy shooting system, let's see. We need to clear the timer. So let's see. Disable. Shoot timer. Um, we could disconnect. What else could we do? We could do process mode disabled. And that should actually disable the timer. Right, we could also do, I don't know, I believe that's gonna be it, right? So that the tank does not shoot when it is playing the explosion animation. Going to enemy, if we explode, we must do enemy shooting system disable. Okay, so now we should have different types of enemies. I would love to find the armored one. So let's see, in our main enemy spawner, the last one is the armored one. So let's change this to see whether the health system actually has a point. I shoot him once. I shoot him. Oh no, I died. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Perfect. It works. So this is how we can incorporate different types of enemies to our game. Thank you, and I will see you in the next section.